have an impact, and was I, a beneficiary of that? And the Senate.
But they said you repeatedly parroted Kremlin views and posted a campaign
you know
video
what they
from
consider
Moscow's
a
Red
Kremlin
Square.
view? They consider reparations a Kremlin view.
Oh.
They consider
They
the civil rights movement actually a Kremlin view. They consider racial disparities a Kremlin view. So these are Department of Defense talking points, and these.
Let's go back, because I want you to see the look on Angela's face. This is all going to be important. Pay attention to this conversation here about what is considered to be a Kremlin view.
The question that was raised there was, did Russian social media have an impact? And was I, a beneficiary of that? And the Senate.
But they said you repeatedly parroted Kremlin views and posted a campaign video
you know what they
from
consider
Moscow's
a Kremlin
Red Square.
view? They can.
Look at the look on her face. That was her whole mood. During the interview, that was her whole mood. And this comment that Jill's about to make here applies actually towards Angela. I'll show you in just a second.
Consider reparations a Kremlin view.
Oh.
They consider the civil rights movement actually a Kremlin view. They consider racial disparities a Kremlin view. So these are Department of Defense talking points, and these are unfortunately the DNC talking points as well, which repeatedly tries to smear me as a Russian agent, even though it has been
idiot.
Yes, and this has been very specifically
let's just be blunt about that.
Found lacking. And the report, get this, the report that was initially used to supposedly show that Russians had a social media campaign supporting me, that was written by a cybersecurity firm called the New Knowledge Corporation. New Knowledge had to disband shortly after publishing that because they were exposed for conducting an interference campaign themselves in the 2017 Senate election in Alabama. And how did they do that? They pretended to be a Russian influence campaign on social media. So they did exactly what they have accused the Russians of doing. They actually did, and put it under the false guise of being a Russian interference campaign.
So you see, that's what they tried to use against them next. Oh, you sat at the table and with Vladimir Putin and da-da-da. Now, here's what's interesting about what Jill said there about the Kremlin talking points. It's time to dive into Angela Rye. I didn't know this. So again, shout out to DAP, Ados Tribe, and Yvette Carnell and all of you that tagged me, because I didn't know. Did you guys know how ironic it was that Angela Rye was a part of the Jill Stein Breakfast Club interview? Look at this, what he shared here. Black critics of Kamala Harris and Cory Booker push back against claims that they're Russian bots. Angela Rye and Joy Reid have speculated that American descendants of slaves using the hashtag ADOS to critique Harris and Booker are Russian bots. That was February 13th, 2019. She been doing this, fam. That's her right there. She been doing this, fam. What? She been doing this, fam. She was doing this in 2019. So when Jill said, you know what else is a Kremlin talking point? Reparations. Whoa, she ain't like that. Did not like it. And so I'll show you where she was saying that. I said, no wonder Angela Rye folded her arms when Jill Stein mentioned reparations. This woman accused ADOS of being Russian bots. Oh, honey, the tea is hot with this one. And it is. I told you we were going to have some fun tonight. The tea is hot. So shout out to Yvette Carnell, because she shared this video with me. Don't believe me? Listen to her say it yourself.
Just clearly don't pay attention, that's fine. But the challenge I have now is, if you follow the narrative, it is very much about we can only talk about reparations and issues specific to Black Americans who are not immigrants, because when other people come here, they're not looking out for our best interests. Number one, that's an overgeneralization. Number two, it's dangerous. I believe that it was paid for by Russia. And I'm not saying that everyone who uses that hashtag now is a Russian bot, but I believe it originated from Russian bots, in the same way that some of the stuff around the crime bill happened in 2016. There were some lower speeches, clearly don't.
So this was Angela Rye speaking to a room of people, telling people that ADOS this was all, they were being paid by Russia and that they were Russian bots. This is Angela Rye saying that. And the same woman just happens to be sitting in the room to interview Jill Stein and wants to bring up, oh, you sat at the table across from Vladimir Putin. First, she lied and said you sat right next to him. She didn't sit right next to him. He was at the table across from her, and she never even got the chance to speak to him. She's talked about this multiple times. She was investigated about this, and she was cleared of any wrong